Welcome to the Mount Pleasant Podcast, featuring discussions and interviews about the people, places, and events that make Mount Pleasant such a special place.
This is the Mount Pleasant Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Cleary, and all thanks to the great people of Mount Pleasant Magazine, I get the honor, the privilege of introducing you to Mount Pleasant, the people who make it such a special place to do business, to work, and even to live. We're introducing you to Mount Pleasant's best on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. Here in the Lowcountry, I think one thing that all of us have in common is our love of food. So why not talk about food today on the Mount Pleasant Podcast? I'm Brian Cleary. We're going to introduce you to Charleston's premier taco bar catering experience. I get hungry just even saying those words. Today, Rob Cassi, the owner of Summerville Burrito Co, joins us. Rob, I went to your website. I'm interested in everything that you guys have, and I noticed that you specialize in Tex-Mex. So like any food, there's all kind of variety. People think about Mexican food. That's kind of a generic label. Explain to everyone Tex-Mex. What's that specialty about?
I think it's a little bit of a hybrid of American and, not trying to pigeonhole into saying that we are, authentic Mexican that, because I'm not, Mexican by descent or heritage. And so it's just one of those things I think I would do a disservice by trying to say that I'm authentic when there's plenty of people that are, have family heritage, that have grandma recipes, and that could probably do a much better job than me trying to advertise in that fashion.
But as you said, your heritage is not Mexican. What is it that drew you to Tex-Mex, and Mexican food in general?
I'm Italian, and I think the two best cuisines out there is Mexican and Italian. And we had a fast casual storefront up in Summerville at the time. It was a sandwich shop that I opened. And it wasn't doing so hot for about 4 years. And I couldn't really figure out a way to do fast casual Italian that would fit into what maybe, lunches and quick lunches and not so heavy lunches. And so I just brought in a lot of the stuff that I used to do with, Tex-Mex and, South American foods and everything else. We just did Summerville Burrito Co. And that kind of took off up until about COVID or so.
I think it would be hard for anybody to disagree with Italian and Mexican both being great food samples. So with you and your Tex-Mex, I noticed that on the Summerville Burrito Company website, one of the things you point out is the fact that you use locally sourced ingredients. Locally sourced. Why is that so important to you?
I always think it's important to use locally sourced when possible. Obviously not, when we're getting avocados, you're not. Obviously, there's no local farms that are doing avocados for us. So, when you could support local farms and agriculture and people, you keep the taxes here, you keep a lot of the money here, and that in turns creates and builds a better community.
So, Rob, what I want to ask you about is your taco bar extravaganza, which sounds just amazing. But before I get to that, I have to ask you just a kind of a personal thing, because I make tacos. They're horrible. They just fall apart immediately. Is there a secret to making a good taco?
Let them fall apart onto a plate of chips and then eat them as nachos.
Okay, that's a great backup. So let's explain to people taco bar extravaganza. It sounds amazing. What is a taco bar extravaganza from the Summerville Burrito Company?
So we mostly do corporate catering. We mostly do lunches and corporate catering like that. So the taco bar extravaganza is really just, our premier package. Comes with, because we do a lot of corporate catering, it comes with the nuts and bolts of everything. It comes with cookies. It comes with teas. But most importantly, our house-made queso, our homemade guac, choice of 2 meats that we season with adobo. We roast in-house when we can, all the pork and peppers and onions and everything else. And so it's really to accommodate a all-inclusive package for basically easy lunch checkouts.
You're listening to the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
Today's the day you'll get hungry watching and listening to the Mount Pleasant Podcast, where the pages of Mount Pleasant magazine come alive. That's because we're talking with Rob Cassi. Rob is the owner of the Summerville Burrito Co. I'm Brian Cleary. Thanks for joining us. So, Rob, you mentioned the fact that you do a lot of corporate events. What other type of events will the Summerville Burrito Company cater to?
We have done weddings. We are not, I don't want to say that we can't do a wedding. We are not really a full service staffed wedding. We're more of a drop off casual. So the things that we excel at is going to be your corporate lunches, birthday parties, weekend events, things that don't necessarily need a full staff for it. I don't have a, full catered staff, white tie to be sitting on IOP beach doing a carving station per se. But, for corporate lunches, for medical offices, for, corporate outings, or just your weekend tailgate party, we excel at that very, very nicely, because we're also not, in my mind, I think of us as a valued caterer, where we are not charging $20, $30 a person. We are, you can get the cheapest taco bar that we do, which is the same premium quality ingredients and meats and everything else. And you can get that for $10 a person. And then our highest package really goes to about $15 a person. We cater a lot of, car dealerships, medical offices, corporate parties, and then weekend parties as well too. So you'll cater to both businesses and individuals. I'm having a big football party at my house for the weekend. You're somebody I can call up and talk to about. And what else can you offer me? Obviously, the taco bar extravaganza is the big thing, but go beyond that a little bit in terms of what your menu is. So it's really just taco bar. I find that if we keep it simplistic into that nature, it's easier for people to choose different things. We've explored around with cilantro limeade, which is just basically cilantro, jalapenos, and make a limeade out of that. Sometimes those are popular. Sometimes they're not. I'd rather keep with ingredients that I know are moving out, that are fresh, that are rotating through, and then that way I can keep prices low for everybody. We deliver as well too, which is a big thing. I know in the corporate catering side, we have one of the shortest ordering period times that you could possibly think of. We can take an order up to 1,000 people within 3 hours of needing it. And we are one of the only caterers that can kind of accommodate, just because we are strictly catering. We're so nimble into that. So we don't have to be worried about opening our doors or getting staff in to run the whole restaurant and everything else. So we're pretty nimble in that way.
Well, let's expand on that a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, Rob, because people hear Summerville Burrito Company, they think Summerville, Nexton, but you expand to an area covering the Lowcountry. How far will you go to bring someone a great Mexican meal?
Oh, we go all over. So we started up in Summerville. My storefront was up in Summerville pre-COVID. And that's kind of why the name was Summerville Burrito. But our main kitchen is now in North Charleston, and we cater all over. So we can still go up to Summerville. We still go up to Cane Bay, that whole area. But we still service North Charleston, Mount Pleasant, IOP, Sullivan's Island, North Mount Pleasant. We do all the hospitals over there, downtown, West Ashley, everywhere. So I think the farthest place we go is we do. It's never really convenient when we accept it, but we take an order down on John's Island. I forgot the name of the plaza over there, but we take an order on John's Island, and that's always a special delivery because we got to have we pay the driver per delivery, so they get a nice little budget for themselves. They know how to budget, for gas and everything else like that. And that is one that we can't give them, obviously 2 deliveries in a day because they have to go strictly there and back. So
We're talking food today, specifically Tex-Mex here on the Mount Pleasant podcast, where the pages of Mount Pleasant magazine come alive. I'm Brian Cleary. Thanks so much for sharing a little time with me and Rob Cassi. Rob is the owner of Summerville Burrito Co. Now, Rob, you mentioned the fact that you've had restaurants and stuff. How did you get into the food industry in the first place?
I was a chef. I was a chef up in New Bedford, Mass, and Tiverton, Rhode Island for a little bit. I was a chef in Atlanta. I was a chef down here for a little bit before I opened up my first restaurant. And just trying to think. Yeah. And the goal was always to open up a restaurant. And then it kind of became very difficult in the middle of COVID with when they shut down and everything else like that. And the staffing became hard because we were a fast casual. And I thought I was going to get out of food service for a little bit. And then we started a food truck, which is separate from what we're talking about right now. And we started catering. I kind of ignited that I really do love food service. I just love it in a different way than servicing restaurants. Restaurants, in my opinion, are just very difficult. Like the chefs, the GMs, the servers, the whole staff that goes into it. I am completely in awe when you go to a huge restaurant and they are doing that, and it's great service. I've realized that is not my fit in food service, if that makes sense.
Sure, absolutely. So Massachusetts to Charleston, what was it that brought you south? Was it just the opportunity, or did you say, hey, I'm tired of this New England weather? What was it that brought you here? 5
snowstorms in a row in a season. I was applying to be a chef in Boston. I had an interview. We had a huge snowstorm come down. I was traveling from Pawtucket to Boston. It took me 4 hours to get there. The girl who was interviewing me waited, and we were in communication. She was super nice. They were poised to give me the job. And me and my ex-wife were about to get married. And I looked at her. I was like, I can't be up here. The snow is just too much. I can't imagine having a job in Boston, living in Pawtucket, being the chef of a restaurant, and then telling, because you're a key holder at that point, telling your staff, hey, we can't get in because I'm stuck in snow, So
I grew up in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, and people always ask me, do you miss the snow? And I have the same answer I would suspect that you have, is no.
Visiting, yes, I miss it while I'm visiting.
Okay.
Not living conditions.
Got it. I can actually agree with that. So, Rob, you mentioned a little bit. Well, one thing I'm going to ask you about first, though, because we ask everybody who comes a guest on the Mount Pleasant podcast, and you may not have a dog in a fight, but Carolina, Clemson, do you have anybody?
No dog in the fight.
One way or the other?
No dog in the fight.
Got it. All right. So now you mentioned the fact that you had a food truck. Let's explore that a little bit, because people may know, and if they have the opportunity, and I have, to check out And Lobster, this is something special. Tell us about And Lobster.
So And Lobster is a little side, well, it's a business now, but it was a side project. It was a side project for me. And that one is a little bit more to the homage of me being a chef up in, New Bedford and Tiverton. And so we started a lobster truck because I got a part-time job at Costco, just trying to keep up with, the lack of revenue in, 2020 and trying to make sure that my staff had, paychecks. So I wasn't taking money out of the business. So I got a part-time job at Costco. And so then I had this little trailer that I was like, listen, let's start a little side hustle business and serve lobster rolls. And the name of it actually came from just a cute marketing whim idea that I had. Is I thought we would only be at breweries. So I thought it would be cute to be like And Lobster. So the brewery's name, like Westbrook and Lobster, Two Blokes and Lobster, Hobcaw and Lobster. And so we started off at breweries, and then we would do bigger events like neighborhoods. And then we got accepted into High Water, and that was the biggest gig that we had done, in that year. And now we do festivals. Now we put on festivals. Now we help with numerous round of concerts and different things around Charleston. And it's been really cool because as I said earlier about thinking about leaving food service, now we mostly do events, and I love it. I love doing events. I love the personal time that I get out of not being on like a restaurant is all the time, but I love serving a crowd of people and doing it as fast as we can, the best we can, logistically trying to figure out how to get food out to people. It's been a really cool transition of my career.
So when I go to Highwater this spring, and so people have an idea, you do lobster rolls, but there's also crab in there. You've got not a huge, but a varied menu and a lot of tasty stuff there that people can get from the lobster truck. Yeah.
No, we do lobster rolls. We'll be doing our lobster mac and cheese, which is a three cheese blend. It's smoked Gouda, sharp cheddar, pecorino. We do that for our holiday meals as well too. And then I am currently working on a catering division for Hand Lobster, where we're going to be doing like smoked meats to offset our menu a little bit more for corporate catering, where we can kind of offer a barbecue style and lobster rolls, for people who are not necessarily eating seafood. So
kind of terrific then that you've been able to take the downside of COVID and actually build and become back and be stronger now with Hand Lobster and the Summerville Burrito Company. Now, Rob, you did mention that you're somebody who can turn around a catering order pretty quick, but ideally, if I want to get something catered from the Summerville Burrito Company, take me through the steps that I need to do and how much time should I really give you?
Really depends on how many people. If it's 10 people and you forgot to order from us that morning. We require 3 hours minimum. If it's 20 to 30 people, maybe the night before. But the easiest thing to do is go on our website, SummervilleBurritoCo.com, and we have easy ordering right then and there for you. If you have any specific questions, my cell phone number is actually on our website. It's a 561 number. We're up in West Palm Beach, so you could just text me any question. You could order through text message. A lot of the times I'm busy through the day, so I won't be able to get an invoice, to you right then and there. But, at the end of my day, when I sit back in front of my computer, I can always invoice you that way. But the easiest thing would be just to go to our website, order online, and it populates, it accepts, it gives you notifications, and we get drivers daily and we get them out and deliver to you.
There's never a bad time for a taco, and there's never an event that wouldn't be just a little bit better without some great Tex-Mex from the Summerville Burrito Company. You're invited to check them out. Rob Cassi, the owner. Rob, thanks so much for the time and sharing all about Summerville Burrito Company and the and Lobster food truck as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Bring your hunger when you go online. There's a lot to order, a lot to enjoy from the Summerville Burrito Company. I'm Brian Cleary. Thank you for sharing a little time. Hopefully you're not too hungry, but if you are, you know where to turn. Here, where the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine come alive. This is the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
Thanks for spending your time with the Mount Pleasant Podcast. Your community, your podcast. Listen to past and future episodes at mountpleasantpodcast.com.